Dragged along by a chain, this bear endured years of agony until her suffering finally ended. Without doubt, performing bears should be a thing of the past. Unfortunately, though, there are still remnants of this cruel and barbaric practice evident in some parts of the world. One poor tortured animal, for instance, was paraded around for tourists to take photos with. What's more, Jetta, the brown bear's name, was bitterly ironic. In Albania, where she lived a life of pain and suffering, her moniker means life, the very thing she was denied. For years, moreover, Jetta was a selfie bear, and her existence was nothing but exploitation. As part of her daily routine, meanwhile, Jetta was forced to walk the tourist spots of her country. Naturally, a bear being led around a town, city, or beach drew attention, and people would stop to look at her. However, this was exactly what her keeper wanted. Selfie bears are led around on the beach promenade in order to make a profit with them. The animal rescue group Four Paws International has explained, according to the dodo, many tourists want a selfie with a bear and pay money for it. But that wasn't the worst part of Jetta's treatment, though. That was because Jetta's taskmaster also dragged her along with him by a cruel form of leash. Her nose was pierced with a ring, ending in a length of chain, his means of controlling where he wanted her to go, and her downtime wasn't much better either. Jetta lives in a shed next to the house of the owner, Four Paws wrote on Facebook. She's chained to the ground and her claws are shortened. It's unbelievable how her small range of movement is. Indeed, her hovel was nothing but cold concrete walls and floors. Tragically, moreover, the suffering Jetta was put through wasn't an isolated incident. There are approximately 50 bears kept in cruel conditions across Albania, suffering in terrible, inappropriate conditions, a Four-Pod crowdfunding page explained. These animals are occasionally named beer bears because they're fed primarily on beer and bread. Four Paws International, however, calls them the saddest bears in Europe, and it's easy to see why. 15-year-old Jetta was probably exploited for most of her life. Indeed, her body showed years of abuse. Unfortunately, you can see the years of bad keeping, Four Paws wrote on its Facebook page. Jetta is almost toothless and has an eye condition. But despite active laws against cruelty to animals in Albania, some private and business owners still cling to their living property as a source of income. Regardless, the country's government has been cracking down on brown bear abuse. Despite protection by the law, though, the animal trade continues, as does the suffering. Nearly all of these bears began their lives in the wild and have been taken illegally to live their lives in chains. Four Paws explained on its Save the Saddest Bears petition. Although bear species are protected by both Albanian and international law, the trade of bears and cubs in Albania has been flourishing for many years, the organization continued. Four Paws has duly asked the government to take these laws more seriously, and, thankfully, it appears that the officials are listening. In cooperation with the Albanian Ministry of Environment, Four Paws now claims to tackle this problem and fight for stricter law enforcement and a legal ban on all cruel forms of bear keeping, the charity wrote. Indeed, it's due to this collaboration that Four Paws was able to help Jetta. On November 16, 2016, moreover, Four Paws released an exciting social media update for animal lovers following Jetta's harrowing story. Today, her suffering will hopefully come to an end. A Four Paws team is currently on their way to Jetta. Keep your fingers crossed, it said. With friends in high places, Four Paws was able to secure permission to liberate Jetta from her chains. When the rescue team arrived, they used a blowpipe to anesthetize the bear in her shed. Four Paws also kept those tracking Jetta's rescue updated as to her progress. Jetta is now in safety, the organization wrote on social media. Together with the Albanian Ministry of the Environment, Ministeria e Majestit, and the authorities, we were able to confiscate, chip, vaccinate, and treat her medically. And while the charity was naturally appalled by Jetta's years of abuse, the bear was now definitely in safe hands. The most important thing is that she's been freed from the shed, and we can take care of her now, Four Paws stated. What's more, the Albanian government's collaboration has worked to the animal rescue group's advantage. To cut transportation costs of relocating rescued bears out of the country, for example, Four Paws is helping officials build their own bear shelter. The project for this center is finished on paper, and now we're in the fundraising phase, Albania's Minister of Environment, Lefter Koka, said in a September 2016 press release from Four Paws. This center would resolve the issue and create the proper conditions to stop cruelty against these animals. As for Jetta, she has joined several of her previously liberated bear friends in Four Paws' 40-acre Pristina sanctuary in Kosovo. Thankfully then, she'll live the rest of her life as close to the way nature intended as possible.